All right, let's talk about something that has pretty much every Next.js developer scratching their heads. How do you handle authentication in the new app router? Today, we're going to crack the code on Auth.js version 5 and show you exactly how it makes everything finally make sense. I mean, if you've been looking at this wild new world of server components, server actions, and running code on the edge, and just thinking, wait, how does Auth even work anymore? You are definitely not alone. It's a whole new ballgame, and the old playbooks, well, they just don't work here. Okay, let's dive into this. First, we'll break down the actual problem we're facing. Then we'll introduce the solution, Auth.js v5, and its core ideas. After that, we get hands-on, showing you how to protect your app, and we'll finish up with a little playbook to help you sidestep those common gotchas. So, first things first, let's really unpack that problem. Why did authentication suddenly get so tricky? The bottom line is that the app router completely flipped the script on where and how our code runs, and that created a huge mess for most traditional auth libraries. Yeah, the heart of the issue is that older auth solutions just weren't built for a reality filled with server components and the edge. It needed a total rethink. And that's exactly where Auth.js v5 comes in. This isn't just an update, it's a complete rewrite built from the ground up for this specific new world. So let's get into the solution. And to really appreciate why version 5 is such a game changer, you have to see what it's replacing. The whole philosophy behind this rewrite can be summed up in two words: simplification and centralization. And wow, this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? The old way, v4, you had your auth options scattered all over. You had to import them into every file. Your API route was this big, complicated thing. Now with v5, it's all unified. One central auth.ts file, a super simple await auth call to get the session, and your API route is literally 2 lines of code. It's just a night and day difference for us developers. This brings us to the first huge concept: this new central command center for all your authentication. Think of it as the heart of the entire operation. And here's the beauty of it. That one auth.ts file exports everything you'll ever need. You get your handlers for the API route, you get the main auth function for checking the session on the server, and you even get sign in and sign out functions you can use directly in server actions. It's one file, total control. It's fantastic. But how does it all stay so fast, especially if you're running on the edge? Well, the secret sauce is the JWT session strategy. Instead of hitting your database on every single request just to see who's logged in, Auth.js cleverly stores the session in a secure, signed HTTP-only cookie. This is what makes it blazing fast, and more importantly, what allows it to run on the edge, which typically can't talk to a traditional database. Okay, pay close attention to this next part. I'm not kidding, this is probably the single most important mental model you need to grasp. If you understand this slide, you'll totally get how to build with Auth.js v5. It's all about knowing where to get your session. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how clean the separation is. On the server, in your pages, your layouts, your actions, you use await auth. This costs the user's browser absolutely nothing in terms of JavaScript, and it's perfect for security checks. Then, on the client side, for stuff like a little user menu that needs to update when someone logs in, you use the useSession hook. So server for the heavy lifting, client for the interactive UI. Simple as that. So now let's see how this awesome pattern actually plays out in the code. Because once you have this clear server versus client model in your head, securing your application becomes incredibly straightforward and intuitive. And I mean, look at this. Protecting a whole page is this easy now. Right at the top of your server component, you just await the session. If it's not there, you redirect them to the sign-in page. That's it. It's like a simple, secure bouncer at the door of your route. And what's great is that the exact same logic works for protecting your server actions. Before you do anything sensitive, like, say, writing to your database, you run the same check. Got a session? Great, proceed. No session? The vault stays locked, and you throw an error. This makes sure your data is always safe. Okay, so to wrap this all up, I want to give you a quick playbook. Think of it as a field guide to the most common issues you might hit, so you can fix them in like 5 seconds instead of 5 hours. Here are the big 4. If you're seeing edge runtime errors, you probably just need to split your config file. If your session is mysteriously null, I bet you forgot to set your auth secret environment variable. Getting an OAuth callback mismatch, you have to make sure the URL in your provider settings is an exact match. And finally, if user avatars aren't showing up, you just need to whitelist the image domain in your next.config.ts. At the end of the day, Auth.js v5 takes what used to be one of the most painful parts of building a web app and makes it simple, secure, and incredibly fast. It just gets out of your way so you can focus on the cool stuff. Which really only leaves one question. Now that Auth is this easy, what are you going to build?